Yo, what's up YouTube? Back with another install video. Today we are going to be installing a new chain and sprocket set on the 2020 Raptor 700R SE, as well as a parking brake delete block off. So those are both pretty fairly simple installs, but we'll get right to it and I will walk you through how I go about doing this particular install. So let's get after it. All right, the first thing that I like to do is take off the cover for the front drive sprocket and get rid of the stock case saver. I got another case saver that I'm gonna be installing as well. So once I get all of this stuff taken apart and taken off, I'll show you what the products are that I'm gonna be putting on. So let's get this thing off. All right, to get this off, you're gonna need a number 5 Allen key. I believe this is, if it'll focus, yeah. You're gonna need a number 5 Allen key. So let's get this up in here and get these bolts off. All right, just get them loosened up. And we'll hit you when I get all these bolts out. All right, got all these bolts nice and loose. Go ahead and take this last bolt out. Get that out, remove the cover. Case saver should fall right out. I just take my my bolts and place them right up in there in the foot peg well so I don't lose it. Take this bad boy, sit it off to the side. If you're going to reuse it, I might reuse it depending on how this new case saver looks. And then the stock case saver, it's right here. This thing is very light, very, very light. Very, very flimsy, so we're definitely going to be replacing this. So yeah, next step is to get in there and get to the front drive sprocket. This is a 36 millimeter nut. So I just went to O'Reilly's, picked up a 36 millimeter axle nut socket. Make sure it's an impact drive to go with the impact gun that we're going to be using. So yeah, 36. And then when you go to take this off, there's a locking washer right here. And what you're gonna have to do is that top part right there, you're gonna have to take a flathead screwdriver and push this back. You're probably gonna need to get a hammer or something and bang it out with the hammer. And then once that's back, you'll be able to access this nut and actually have it spin. Make sure that it's in second gear. When you do, you might want to apply some pressure on the rear wheels as well, just to make sure that the bike doesn't move when you're trying to get that nut out. So yeah, you can use a breaker bar or you can use an impact drill, but I'm going to use an impact drill because testosterone. So we'll get to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is this this lock washer right here. You're gonna need to take a flathead screwdriver and something to bash it with, and you need to get up in there. I would like to suggest that the screwdriver that you use is a bit sharp and not dull, because you're gonna have to get in a tight spot. So you're just gonna take it and give it a couple taps. Get up under there, pry it back. Just continue to work your way around. Get it to a point where you can start prying it up. All right, once you get it going, you can take your 36 millimeter socket, put it over the nut, and just tap it until the lock washer is flat. Now it's flat. That way you don't damage the lock washer trying to pry back on it, and you don't damage the nut trying to dig into it. All right, now that the lock washer is flat, what you're gonna do now is take your 36 millimeter socket and your impact drill, and you're gonna go ahead and hit that bolt and loosen it. Having an impact drill makes this a lot easier. That go ahead and spins right off. Go ahead and remove your locking nut, your locking washer. Sit these to the side, and I would suggest you could go ahead and clean these while you get a chance. And now your front sprocket is exposed. You can remove it now if you want to, but we're gonna go ahead and remove the chain first. So see you in a minute. All right, before we get to the chain, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the bolts on the tire, and we're gonna loosen the bolts on the rear sprocket. Do yourself a favor and do this crap while the rear tires, let's not focus it, whatever. Do yourself a favor and do it while the rear tires are on the ground, because if not, you're gonna be taking extra steps trying to keep the rear axle still while you're doing it. So take my impact drill, 14mm socket, and we're gonna go ahead and fire off these bolts. Take them all the way off yet. Just go ahead and loosen them. I'll probably hit these with a wrench, because I don't think, yeah, my gun won't get in here. So I'll get in there with a wrench. You can take the tire off if you want to, and if you got an impact gun, you can fire them off, but I'm trying to do it while I'm on the ground, so I'm gonna keep the wheels on the ground and just break them off with a bolt. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna just take a friggin' socket wrench and just loosen these up. Let's go ahead and get them nice and loose. You don't gotta take the bolts off. Just get them loose, so that way, once it's in the air, it's a little bit easier. Sorry for my crappy camera work. I'm doing this crap with one hand. Yeah, just loosen them up. All right, next we're gonna get a jack and go ahead and get this thing up in the air. Just the rear tires. You can use anything to prop up the rear of an ATV, but I like to use a jack because testosterone. Just enough to get the rear tires up. You don't wanna get it up too high. Make sure that your tires spin freely. And that's all you need. All right, on to the next. All right, next step, make sure you remove all of your nuts and washers. Sit those to the side, make sure you don't lose them, and go ahead and remove your rear tire. You're gonna remove the left side tire, obviously, because that's the side your sprocket is on. Go ahead and lay the tire to the side, exposing your left side axle. And now we're gonna work on getting these bolts off of the sprocket. All right, so this next step right here, we're going to be cutting away the chain. Now, if you're going to be reusing the chain, then obviously this method would be a no-go. It's like, if you're gonna be reusing the chain, you're gonna want to like file like 2 of the pins down, and then use a chain removal tool to pop off a link. You can pull the link out, and then it'll be good to go. So you can go about this one of 2 ways. You can either cut the chain straight in half somewhere along here, or you can do like I'm about to do, which is grind down 2 of these pins, and then just use a screwdriver, pop off a link, and then remove it as such. Not really worried about damaging this sprocket, although I shouldn't. Not really worried about damaging this sprocket because I'm gonna be replacing it anyway. So always make sure you got hand and eye protection on when working with an angle grinder. So, yep, let's get it. All right, take 2. As soon as I started grinding, I saw a whole bunch of sparks flying out. So I went over here and got a wet towel and draped it over my lower plastics, so I don't have to worry about my plastics getting damaged or anything like that. All right, let's try this again. All right, now that you got that grinded down, all you're gonna do is just take a screwdriver and get it between there, and you should be able to wedge it out. All right, now that that's out, go ahead and pop out your link, and you should be able to remove the chain easily. So we're gonna put it back in neutral. So that's fine, neutral. Put it back in neutral, get this taken off, and then you should gloves back on. Should be able to just roll this chain right on. Voila, easy. And then if you want to, you can even, like, cause the rest of this is damaged, like you can check it. If this chain is not damaged, you can clean it up, possibly even reuse it again as a backup chain. You just gotta get another master link. So yeah, there you go. Easy way to take your chain off. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and remove this sprocket. So for this, you're gonna need a number 8 Allen key with a socket wrench. And you will also need a number 14 socket, right? And it was good that you loosen these up prior to, so that way they'll be easier to break. All right, once you've gotten all of your nuts off, you're just gonna go ahead and remove all 4 of these bolts from the sprocket. So I can get that bad boy off. Okay, I might need to twist this to get it off. Yep, there we go. All right, remove all 4 bolts. Then all you're gonna do is just wiggle your sprocket out, take it off the hub, and you have removed your rear sprocket. I like to put my nuts and bolts back where I got them from so I don't lose anything, especially the nuts. So yeah, let me do that and we'll move on. All right, last step to this is to come up front, remove your front sprocket, and your sprocket removal and chain removal is complete. So now we're gonna move on to installing the new parts. All right, back for day 2 of the install. I had to take everything apart yesterday because the parts hadn't came in yet, but they just came in today. I ordered everything from Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and I only had to pay an extra $25, but they overnighted everything. I ordered everything yesterday around noon, and I got it today here in sunny North Carolina, kind of at around like 3 or 4 o'clock. So the $25 was worth it. They got me all this stuff the next day, and I'm gonna be installing this 13-tooth sprocket from Pro X steel sprocket. We have a 40-tooth aluminum rear sprocket from Renthal. We're gonna be installing this Tusk case saver. Got a primary drive chain. Went on ahead and got the parking brake block off, and I'm also gonna be installing a Trail Tech Vapor on another video. So let's go ahead and get this stuff put on, and I'll probably be doing some comparisons too from the stock to the upgraded stuff to let y'all see what you might potentially be buying. So I hope it helps. All right, next we're gonna put on our front sprocket. Like I told you before, this sprocket is from Pro X. It is a all steel 13 tooth sprocket. And we're focusing on torque. If you just wanna compare the two, there's your 13 tooth sprocket, and here is your 14 tooth stock sprocket. Put them together, you can see that the 13 tooth is considerably smaller. So we're gonna go ahead and get this mounted up. So just wanna take off your primary drive nut, take off this washer. Sit this to the side. And then what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and get you some copper anti-seize. I just used some anti-seize from O'Reilly's. You're gonna want to put antifreeze along the splines of your primary drive shaft. Don't necessarily need to put it in the sprocket, but you're gonna want to get some anti-seize in the splines of your primary drive shaft. So when this thing gets hot, obviously this thing's gonna carry some heat. You're not gonna want that heat to like warp or potentially melt your sprocket or damage anything. So just throw a little bit of anti-seize. It'll help you out in the long run. All right, now that you got your anti-seize on, you're just gonna wanna make sure that you're cleaning up any of the excess that might have gotten onto the threads of your counter drive shaft. Let's get that off. And also clean up any excess around the outside. You don't want a lot of this crap in there. Just want enough to give it a nice, even, light coat. Like that. All right, next we're gonna wanna get our sprocket in. I think these things are, it doesn't matter which direction it goes on. I just like to put the numbers on the outside so I can, like me or anybody else can know how many teeth are on the sprocket. So, gonna get that on. Almost got scared for a minute. I like didn't want to go on. All right, then you're gonna take your lock washer, get that on, and you want to get your primary drive nut, and you're gonna want to secure that. You're not gonna need a Loctite for this because you got a lock washer on here. So once you get it on, you're gonna just torque it down to spec and then bend that lock washer down. This bolt specifically is, I wanna say it's supposed to be torqued down to 62 or 61 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and get that torqued down and then move on to the next step. Okay, running into an issue. So without the primary drive shaft or the counter drive shaft being secured, when I go to torque this thing, the drive shaft actually turns with it and there's nothing actually stopping it. So we're probably gonna have to put the chain on first and then come back and torque that down to spec and get everything mashed down, unless I can figure out another way how to do it. So yeah, I think we're gonna put the wheels on, and then after everything's tightened up, that'll probably be the last thing that I tighten up, so I can have something to hold that sprocket in place. So on to the next, go to get this chain installed. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is install our rear sprocket, or our drive sprocket. This is the new one. This is the Renthal Ultra Light aluminum drive sprocket, or driven sprocket. And this is the stock one. So like the stock one is a steel sprocket. So obviously it's built for stability. I mean, my bad, durability. So it's a lot heavier. And this Renthal sprocket is it's just a ton lighter. Obviously with aluminum sprockets, you're not gonna get the same durability out of it, but you're also reducing a ton of rotational mass. I'm gonna put them up to each other just to do a comparison. You can see the like just the size and teeth. The stock is a 38 tooth, and the Renthal sprocket is a 40 tooth. So we're gonna try to go for torque instead of top end, because I'm never gonna hit top speed in this thing, so I might as well focus on torque and lower end values. So let's get this thing hooked up. All right, so you're gonna do is you're gonna take your sprocket and you're just going to feed it over your wheel hub, get it onto the sprocket mounting platform, and then we'll get the bolts mounted up. Can't do this with one hand, so yeah, I'll be back. All right, now that you've gotten your sprocket in place, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put our bolts on. So same concept as when you take them out, let's go ahead and put them in. I like to, with stuff like this, I always want to be safe, so I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of blue Loctite on these bolts. Go ahead and get it in there, the bolt in, just tighten those down. Just gonna rinse and repeat this process for all 4 bolts. And then once we get them all in, we'll get them torqued down to spec. For the rear bolts, I wanna say the torque specs for this rear sprocket is 52 foot-pounds. So once we get all these bolts in, we'll go back and we'll torque them down to spec, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now we have our primary drive, 520 by 100 tooth gold chain. Comes with master link and the lubricant required to pack the inside of where the master link is going to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get this out, get it ran through. Probably gonna need to cut a couple links off of this. I didn't know how many links the guy recommended 98 links. I went on ahead and got 100 links just to be on the safe side. So we're gonna get this out, install it, and then run it through and see where we go from there. Let's make sure I'm gonna put the bike in neutral. So this thing spins freely. Oh, stop playing. Okay, there we go. Make sure it spins freely, because we're gonna feed the chain through, around, and then back to the driven sprocket. Okay, so when installing the chain, you're gonna want to start from the back by the driven sprocket. Then all you're gonna do is just take the chain, start from the back, and then just feed it on through to the front. Makes it super simple if you just use makes it simple if you use the sprocket, the rear sprocket, to just feed itself on through. Then once you get up front, let's go ahead and link it up to the front drive sprocket. Rotate it around, make sure it stays on. And then from there, you can just pull it on through. Super, super easy. All right, let's go ahead and pull it on through. Okay, we back, we live. Had to adjust my my swing arm. So yeah, so now that you've gotten the chain installed, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this pre-packaged lube that comes with it, and you're gonna wanna get some lube all inside of where the master link is going to go. So you're gonna wanna lubricate the inside of this thoroughly. Come along the backside. Yep, just pack some grease in there. I'm sorry about my camera skills, man. I'm not used to all of this. My apologies. Okay, but you're gonna wanna get some grease up in there. Pack it up in there nice and good. And then you're gonna want to take your master link, and you're gonna want to do the same thing. So you're gonna want to coat the master link to and get it all lubricated. Don't mind me, that's just some water dripping off from a cup that I got up on the table. So I can't do this with one hand, so sit my camera down, get this lubed up, get the master link in, and I'll show you how we press it. All right, got my master link here. Now, actually we're gonna set this, we're gonna set the lock to the side for a minute. Just set it somewhere we won't forget it. And then we're gonna make sure that we got all 4 of our rubber washers. We're gonna take our supplied lubricant, and we're just going to apply a generous amount of lubricant all to the inside of these things. I don't know what they're called. All right, then we're gonna take 2 washers, get those in there, and you don't have to be modest with the amount of lube that you use. The more the better, because you're gonna want this lubricant to be inside of the link itself. That's where it's gonna do the most, have the most of its benefit. And then any of the excess on the outside, you can just clean that off. Okay. So now that we got that all lubed up, just gonna take our master link and get it inside. You're gonna push a lot of that lube out that's already in there. It's okay. Then you're gonna take your remaining 2 washers, get those on, and then you're going to put on the master link cover. All right. Now that we're done with this process, we're gonna have to press this link on. So I have a tool for that. I'll show you what to do next. All right, this is my almost decade old chain pressing tool. Used this on all my motorcycles over the years. Could do the same thing with the ATV. So all you do is find the large groove, and that groove is going to be the groove that you're going to be pressing towards. The smaller groove is going to be the back side of the link. So you're going to find your link, put it on, rotate it around, find the grooves, and then go ahead and snug. All right, running out of storage space on my phone. But yeah, look, and once you get it pressed on, you can use that tool, it's fine. Just remember when you press that link on, that the round side is going to be going forward towards the primary drive sprocket. So if it gets caught up on something, and it will reverse, this end doesn't inadvertently get flicked off, and then now you don't have a lock for your masher link, and then your chain comes off. So always orient it facing forward. Also, I just went on ahead and threw the Tusk case saver on. Nothing really to it, just 2 bolts. Looks really good, and it'll serve its purpose because the ones that come on these bikes are really flimsy. All right, so yo, I hope the video was helpful. Again, if it was helpful and you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe. That's what these videos are all about, just trying to get more information out there so people can do more things, learn, and ultimately, you know, like help somebody else out in the long run and save you a little bit of money in the process. So if you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe. Every little bit helps, and it's free to do it. It don't cost you anything to subscribe. Yeah, and let's see where it goes. I'm going out to the track today. Me and my daughter, we're gonna hit the trails a little bit and see where these mods take us. If I jack something up, I'm gonna find out as soon as I hit this trail. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe. If you see something I did wrong or see something you would have done a little bit better, hey, let me know, and then we can work on it together, because it's all about helping each other out. So enjoy, and peace out.